Good evening. I had to take yesterday off. I wasn't feeling quite well. I'm not sick or anything. I needed a day to rest and relax, to catch up on some sorely missed sleep. And now I'm back. You can. There we go. So we're playing Factorio. I think I have this added as a sound source, right? Yeah, I totally do. Yeah, I see it there. It's pretty quiet though. There. It's probably a little bit better. This is a brand new modded game. I think it's modded, right? Yeah, it's modded. I got all kinds of stuff here. This is very cool, by the way, the lab mod. This lets you prototype stuff before you actually build it, which is very cool. Well, you can make your blueprints in an isolated place, and whew, it's handy. Um, I don't use it as much as I should, probably. But anyway, I just started this as something to futz around with. Um, Taking a relatively short break from Minecraft, I think. As I've got the mod pack pretty much where I want it for right now. Um, it definitely needs more testing before I'm ready to release it. Stuff with immersive engineering is just really doing my head in, and I really should just sit down and like watch a couple of YouTube videos on how all that works, and get an idea of best practices, that kind of stuff. Just everything about the mod feels like it wants to be unwieldy, and I realize like that's kind of the purpose of it, right? It's that too many mods have been making single block machines that just do all of this magic, where the purpose or the kind of the shtick behind immersive engineering is that machines that would actually do that kind of work are absolutely massive. And Blue Sunrise, the author of the mod, is absolutely correct. I've seen real rock crushers. I live not very far from two different quarries, and their crushers are friggin' gargantuan. So yeah, no, thermal expansion's polarizer is not really a thing. But that doesn't really detract from the fun for me because the polarizer is sufficiently expensive enough in both resources and um, power consumption, the upgrade system, to make it actually usable on a large scale. I think the newer versions of it are a little bit easier to handle, which I'm not a fan of. I did like the 1.710 version of that of thermal, which used various casings, and you had to upgrade the machines so they could accept more augments. I'm not really sure why King Lemming moved away from that, but he did, and it's his mod and his right to do so. Okay. So we have basically nothing going here. It's just this, each of these feed into the other, so they are a constant supply of fuel. And I have this mining iron and the smelting iron, and that's that. There's no automation, no power, no nothing. I literally just started this game, and I've accomplished little with it. So let's. I need stone. Actually, I think I'm gonna do stone next. So let's talk about some recent news. Um, Apparently, a boat, a cargo ship from Singapore, hit a bridge, and crap, I just had the name of the bridge. It's the key bridge, but it has a more proper name. I'm sure this will be all over the Francis Scott Key Bridge. Collapsed in Baltimore first thing this morning. That was at 1 a.m. ish, my time, Eastern Standard Time. Definitely a bad day for all parties involved. Apparently, the boat lost power, from what we could gather from the little bit of video that I saw on it. Me and my buddy were checking it out earlier today, and the boat lost power, briefly regained power, and then lost it again, and then finally regained power and attempted what appeared to be turn very hard to the left and pull. I'm thinking probably spin the boat around. Unfortunately, we're already drifting with enough speed that there was no saving it. The boat collided with one of the structural pillars that holds the bridge up, and absolute mayhem and catastrophe ensued. So that happened, and it was bad. As I understand it, a few cars did plummet off the bridge. And while there are still rescue efforts in effect, those rescue efforts are not really rescue efforts anymore. Those rescue efforts are retrieval. They're looking for dead people. The water is like 40 degrees if it's that warm. It's something like 180 feet worth of plummet, and when you hit water at that speed, from that kind of height, the water might as well just be concrete. It will absolutely detonate the airbags in the vehicle. Disorienting anyone that's in the vehicle, as well as in water. So there will not likely be any way for the drivers of those vehicles to open the doors. And those people would have, if they were not killed on impact, they drowned, as vehicles are not watertight. And it's very sad. And I'm astounded by this because me and my friend Mike Jackal was just talking about bridges a few days ago. Well, we were talking that bridges are one of the greatest things that man ever invented. Back in the days of the Oregon Trail and the Wild West and all of that, and moving caravans across the country, one of the most dangerous things you could do was cross a river. No matter how you did it. And now we cross rivers all the time, and we don't even think about it. And then something like this happens, and it reminds you of just how fragile everything really is. I mean, don't get me wrong, a bridge is an absolutely monstrous thing that is built and designed to withstand an absolutely enormous amount of weight. But they aren't designed to be struck with a boat, obviously. Not a 110-foot cargo ship, or 110 foot wide. I don't remember. It's pretty big though. I guess Mike Tyson's gonna fight a guy. I don't remember the fellow's name, but I'll be surprised if Mike Tyson doesn't absolutely kill him. The dude is an absolute animal in the ring. I mean, aside from the fight, the time he tried to eat Evander Holyfield's ear. I actually saw that fight with my dad when I was a kid. That was something else, for sure. I believe they stopped that fight in either round 2 or 3. Anyway. So the beginning of Factorio is always the worst. That's the beginning of a lot of games is always the worst. You know, everything's very slow. Okay. I actually forgot about the cliffs that they added. Coal there. Okay. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take this. I don't have underground belts yet. I'll get a little coal to get started. And these should feed themselves now. I know this isn't like the best way to do this, but So one of the first things you really need to focus on is obviously power generation. That'll make your life a lot easier right from the door. Or at least I think so. Because then you can use the electric miner. And I know I have the rusty windmill here, which is from another mod, but okay, we are in fact producing power. 400 megawatts total. Or is it? Yeah, he's put out 900 kilowatts total. Okay. A little bit of a pollution imprint, or footprint, it's not too bad. We're gonna come down here with some goods though. So let's get an electric miner out first. Now there's power down here, which this will help this mine a little bit more. And electric miners do use a considerable amount of power, but one or two isn't going to be much of an issue. I was looking right at the number there too. So it uses a 90 kilowatts of 900. So with nothing else, one steam generator can power 10 of these. Cool. It's good to know. Let's make another one. You know, I don't really want to play this. I do, but I don't. I really like Factorio. It's one of those things that's... It is a lot of fun to play. But it requires so much time. Um, but it's hard to get into, especially early game. And I wanted to do something a little bit special today anyway. Oop, 1 second, we have an important message from the wife. Steganography, which is it's been a topic that's been being discussed here and there. And I want to say it's mostly because of Thor from Pirate Software claiming that he uses it to store the passwords for his various accounts. And I'm going to say that's entirely possible and actually probable, and it's a really good idea. I'm not going to, sit here and say that his claims are true or false because I don't know, and I will never know because I don't have access to those image files. People think that this is like CIA stuff where you can run a program to look for slight pixel differences between an altered image and the original base image, and you can find those differences to create a difference map between the two, and that difference map is actually the hidden information. It's not that complicated. Not at all. It can be. You can do that. But it would require a lot of very specialized stuff. And honestly, it isn't really needed. So let's go on a journey to my D drive. So we're gonna create a new folder here, and we're gonna call this folder accounts. All right, now let's go find an image. Okay, I'm gonna. No, I actually want Google.com, and we're just gonna say Twitch. That's not how you spell that. Let's look for images. Perfect. Okay. So just for reference, this is the image. Okay. This is it. It's just the Twitch logo. Okay. There's nothing special about this image. I downloaded it off the internet. I'm opening it in the standard Windows file viewer thing that's they use now. Alright, so we're gonna shift right click, open PowerShell here. If you don't have PowerShell, you can use open command prompt, that's fine. When you install PowerShell, you lose the shell extension to open a command prompt. I can still use the command prompt. I could just cmd, right? And then just cd d. Oh, it's just D:, that's right. I forgot to change drives. And now you say CD accounts. Oh, too much Linux. And you can see that there's the file there, twitch.png. So you could do this with that. And I'm actually going to leave that open because I've never tried this with PowerShell. So we'll see if this works. What you would say is echo my Twitch password. Whatever your password is, right? Space double angle brackets. Okay, that is the standard operator for an output, and not just output, but output and append, because that's just output. That's just write to, and depending on how that's used and how it's parsed, it might actually truncate the file. Although that's usually this. But we're going to do this. This is append mode. Now we're going to append. So we're going to echo this, which normally echo would print that to the shell, but I'm going to redirect that output to the image. Okay? Now I got nothing. It did nothing. It didn't return anything, right? Well, when I open the image is still there, right? But now when I open it in... in a text editor, you get a bunch of trash. Did that not work? This might be a PowerShell thing, actually. So, quick thing here to note is you note the first thing is this binary symbol and then PNG. It's literally telling what the encoder is. You know, I don't believe that. It might be a PowerShell problem. Let me just try this again. Echo my Twitch password. Yeah, there it is. Alright, so you can't do it in PowerShell. You do have to use the command prompt. And there you go. Your password is now embedded in that file. And it looks... You're none the wiser, right? Looking at it. It's just a file. Unfortunately, my PowerShell knowledge is not great. I don't really use PowerShell. I have it installed because Visual Studio requires it. Alright, let's, we're going to leave this here for now. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to create a new text document. We're going to call it strings.bat. Okay, we're just going to write a batch file. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of learning because I haven't written a lot of Windows, like batch files, or well, they're actually DOS batch files. Batch has been around for a long time, and the original purpose of batch and why it's called a batch file is that they were supposed to contain just a list of commands that would be fired one after another, as MS-DOS is a single-threaded operating system. It wasn't capable of running multiple things at once. So it would process a batch file in order to do large amounts of work in one script. And usually what you did as a DOS programmer is that you would write a series of other programs that did complicated jobs, and then you would write a batch file to just call each of those other scripts or programs one after another in the order you need them to fire. And then you can schedule that batch file to run once a day if it's doing backups or something like that, or once an hour, whatever you need. All right, let's do Windows shell scripts. No, I don't want to create bash shell scripts on Windows, although I can. I have the stuff installed for that. Okay, so We're going to open this in Notepad. And this, yeah, this will already have the appropriate language set because it Notepad++ infers what language to use based on the file extension. Now, when you drag and drop something onto a file, onto a batch file, that dragged thing gets the percentage. Listen, let me talk. The first argument that is sent to the file is actually the full path name of the file that was dragged and dropped. And that will be held in %1. And yes, I am learning this as fast as I am talking about it. Also, you can use %* if you drop more than one file. That's good to know. We won't need that, though. We only need to drop one for now. Okay, so now that I know that, yeah. So Linux has a command called tail, and apparently Windows does too, but it doesn't come pre-installed. And I don't want to use tools that I don't want to have to install something. If you use PowerShell, then this works. Okay, let's try that. We're gonna say get content. Gee, I'm not sure why the wait, but I'll do it because it says to. Dash tail 1. Well, there it is. That fucking worked. That's cool. Alright, so all we have to do is that. Just say get content %1, right? Wait tail. 1. So now if I drag this onto here, that did not do what I thought it would do. It did not execute. Did I break it? I think I broke it. Close this. Now, it might be because PowerShell doesn't do %1 notation. It doesn't. It may handle variables differently. So let's go PowerShell variables. Close this for now. This. Alright, we're going to do this too. Because I think it's firing really quickly. Okay, it's firing in the wrong thing. And I don't want to switch batch files to run in PowerShell. So okay, apparently if I name it, not that, .ps1, so these don't execute, they don't execute. Okay. No, it's PSM1. Oops. Oh, that's cool. So I think I'm going to take a multifaceted approach to this because this isn't working. What I'm going to do first is rename this back to a batch file. Or no, I'm not. I'm going to rename it back to a PS1 file. Okay. And then when I edit it with Notepad++, I get this. And this works, technically. I think. But we're going to also make a strings.bat, right? We're going to edit this in Notepad++. And what we're going to just say is strings dot ps1 dot thing 1, or this. Okay. And it opened it in fucking Notepad. That's neat. That's very funny, actually. Alright, there must be a command to fire PowerShell then. From the command line. How to run PowerShell script from the command line and pass a directory as a parameter. Close enough. Okay, apparently you can just call PowerShell. Oops. This feels wrong. Wait, I'm pretty sure I could just so if I said type yeah, it printed the first line. And it probably doesn't work because the file is binary, right? So it's trying to print that out to the shell, and weird things happen when you print binary to the shell. And I've actually made that mistake several times in a Unix environment, and it actually breaks the shell. It's very funny. It's not really damaging. I mean, it could be, right? Like, you can embed a lot of stuff into anything. Through the very method we discussed here earlier. I had a chatter and I missed it because my Twitch chat was covered by something else. Anyway, pull this over here. So we're going to actually change what we're doing here. I want to need that. We want to invoke PowerShell script from batch file. Dash file. Okay. Let's try that. So we're going to say PowerShell I'm going to say dash file is is actually this one. No, it's not. It's strings not ps1. PWSH. I don't think I have that, but let's find out. Yeah. change that? Do we have to set the execution policy unrestricted? Let's do that. So we'll go into here. I don't know if I can do this in this particular script, but let's find out. Yeah, no. Oh. Close this. Nope. Cannot bind argument parameter path because it's null. Get content $1 wait tail 1. Okay. Alright, now I need to know. Args array. So it's just like Perl. So instead of $1, it's gonna be $args 0. Right? Yeah. And hey, look, there it is. Now you can do an even cooler thing, right? In the batch file right here, I'm going to say is that right? Yeah. So it just dumps the password. That's it. That simple. Now, obviously, you wouldn't want to put all of these things in the same folder because it's pretty obvious how to use them. And I use the word strings as the script name because that's what it's called in Linux. Well, sort of. Linux has a cool command called strings, which basically, no matter what you pass into it, it's a command line tool. It takes a single argument, which is a path name, to a file. And when you run strings against that file, it will rip it apart, finding only string-like characters and omits any binary data that's in it. What this actually does is more akin to tail. So why don't we call it that? Even though it's not a real tail, right? It could be. Let's open it up. Yeah, so here I can make this args 1, right? And then in the batch file, edit with notepad ++. I just put the argument there. And that's how many lines it is. Right? But I can also invoke it. Well, let's make sure it still works. It does not. Okay, this was just working a minute ago, wasn't it? Oh, I needed to tail, that's right. Okay. So we'll reset this to 1, and we'll reset this back to args 1, which is actually the second thing on the argument stack. So I pull this up to here. Cannot bind parameter tail to target. Cannot be converted null. Types 2. Alright. Oh. Because you run the batch file and this pushes this 1. Yeah, I should be able to say 1 right there. Does it need a separator? It shouldn't. What if I quote all of this, right? No. That's weird. Well, at the end of the day, it still does what I wanted it to do, right? Is it dumps the password. So now I can add a new image. Let's grab another image real quick, right? Let's do Facebook. Perfect. Yoink. And we'll call it Facebook. Alright, and then just like before, we will edit open a command window. So now we'll say echo my Facebook password, append facebook.png. Now if I grab Facebook and drag it onto there, alright, well, so it's not perfect, but there it is. I guess I got lucky and there happened to be a line terminating character at the end of the last PNG file. This one did not contain that, so I got a little bit of shit. That's okay though. Like, you still see it, it's fine. It works. Unfortunately, that little bit of data there could be a problem. Like, it may make it so that some images don't work. And realistically, I'm hacking this with shell scripts. The right way to do something like this would be to write an actual program capable of parsing a file and doing reads, which PowerShell does do, kind of, but that's ich. I would want to use a real language, and by real language, of course, I mean Perl. I could easily write a script to do this in Perl. Do I have Perl installed on here? No. No, I don't. Okay. I have Python though, don't I? I do. No, I don't. I don't. I thought I did. Anyway, so that's been that. Again, it was a bit of a learning process for me. Mostly with the PowerShell stuff, because I just don't use it very often. And even Windows shell scripting in general, I just don't do. I don't have enough uses for it in my everyday life to know enough about it. And to have it fresh enough in my memory. I do occasionally write shell scripts, but they generally look something like this. Just pull it up real quick here. That's it. They're usually already defined, and I just have to add stuff to them. Like, I had to throw no GUI in here. And back in the day, before I used Forge, when I used to build Minecraft servers from scratch, using Bucket and plugin architectures, I would often write this myself, customizing these arguments here, which I used. We would back in beta, we used like concurrent mark sweep for the GC or the garbage collector. You would have to set the minimum and maximum boundaries, or not minimum and maximum, but the initial and the maximum heap size using the XMX and XMS settings, command line arguments, I should say. I believe this is a built-in, which will pull that data from my environment, I believe. I believe rem, by the way, is a comment. I literally think it's short for remove. I don't know for sure, so don't quote me on that, but you use echo off and echo on to hide the output of the actual command that's running, or else that'll run. You'll see that, and then you'll see that, and then you'll see the output, and then you get the pause. I don't think I need both pauses, let's say. I definitely need one of them. Or I might need both. Huh. Or it doesn't matter because the window just stays open. Hmm. Yeah, I don't know what the PowerShell read key is. Let's find out. PowerShell. Any key pressed. Yeah, it's going to make it a lot more complicated. If I want to really add all of that extra functionality to it, I'll just write a real program. So, but there you go. So, to recap, if you want to create a image file that holds your password for a thing, Jesus, it's really dry in here. All right. All right. So to recap, you take an image, drag it here, rename it. You open a command prompt. You navigate to that directory. Then you type echo the password, append the file name, and now well, that didn't work at all. Oh. There it is. Oh, that's very cool. That really does act like tail. Nice. Okay, because it keeps the file open. I didn't realize the get content does that. I'm gonna turn down the music a little bit. Alright. So there we go. A little bit of not stenography, that's the court typist thing. Steganography. I had to look it up. Alright, I will be right back. I'm gonna go smoke and I don't know, figure out something else to do. Alright, I'm back. And I've got something. First thing we're gonna do is kill the music. Because that's gonna be in the way. So my parents currently live anywhere they want. They've retired and they bought an RV and they're full timers now. Specifically they're work campers. They go from place to place, put in a few hours a week, work in whatever campground they're at, and they stay there for free. They like it. And my dad just turned 80, which, Jesus, 80. But my dad, when I was growing up, had a mandolin banjo that he tried like hell to learn how to play, and he never really did get very far with it. We figured in his retirement he would pick it back up, but not the mandolin. He bought a full-size banjo, and then discovered that the arthritis in his hand is so awful that he really can't do much with it. So he gave it to me. So now I've got it. So let's tune it. Now I want to learn how to tune it because tuning is the first thing you learn, because that's how you in order to be able to practice anything. Now I already play guitar, and I messed with this as soon as I got it, because I misunderstood what a banjo is and how it's played. Anyway, it has this top string here, which is tuned by this nut here, and then the rest of the strings are tuned with the nuts at the top of the headstock. With a guitar, your top string is your low E string. Well, depending on how you tune, but standard tuning it's an E string, and it has a very deep sound, kind of like that. But this one, not so much. This is played differently, and I don't know anything about it. So we're gonna restart that. Sounds right. Okay. Oh, no, we don't want that. GDGBA. It's a high G, a low G. Weird offsets, but okay. I think it's pretty well tuned. We're gonna leave that open though. And let's just banjo first songs. Let's see what we got. And yes, this is technically software development. Um, since playing music, images, the other art forms are absolutely part of uh, the development process, especially of games. Uh, okay. That doesn't sound like his. Okay. I see. We're just going to look at the tabs here for a hot minute. Oh, my shirt. My shirt's catching it. Let's pick up with a pick. You can't. You can't. Okay. Hmm. Wow, this is pretty tough, actually. Can I? play this on guitar all the time, and it's, you notice the tuning is very different from banjo to guitar. Obviously, I mean, with guitar you have E, and then I believe what is it? E, F, G, A, D. So the scale is different slightly. I mean, it's not right. A fretboard is just an arrangement of all of the various modes and scales. It's just figuring out where this one is, and ignoring the fact that this top string has its own special thing happening, which puts it directly in tune with. Yeah, you gotta play it with your fingers. So I have those little thingies you put on the ends of your fingers to the finger and thumb picks. But my hands are huge. I've got literal clubs on the end of my wrist, and they do not fit me. So all right, I'm gonna say it's probably enough of this for now. I'm gonna go put this away. Um, I'm not gonna make y'all listen to me literally take my first steps with a banjo. I think it might be a bit too much for anyone to bear. Especially when I need to get the hardware for my fingers and thumbs so that I can actually properly fingerpick this. Fingerpicking is something I've always wanted to learn how to do anyway with guitar. So maybe this will help get me there and get that coordination I need for it. You know, I've looked at 1,000 banjos of people playing them, watching videos. Like I enjoy watching Earl Scruggs, and this man it's a pretty popular video. And I've never noticed this nut on the neck, ever. Here we go. But there it is. This would be cool to learn. All right. That's probably all I can really play legally. It's probably a lot more than I can play legally, actually. So I'll be right back. I'm gonna put this away, and probably gonna smoke again. And we're back. Sorry about the long break there. I got a tiny bit distracted while I was away. We're gonna kill that and that. We're done with the banjo for now. Now my fingers properly hurt from the holding the strings down. Let's get the Heartbound soundtrack going again. Not animate, so let's get something a little more interesting. Not Seto. There it is. Okay. Now it's 1 o'clock in the morning already. What are we gonna do? I need to get back to work on my game, and I'm not quite there yet. I'm still processing some shit on how I want to implement some things. Basically, I want to fix up the game loop so there's a little bit more going on. Sorry about the blinding light here. Alright. So, for a good game, you need a loop. Alright. Alright, for a good game, you need a loop. And that loop usually implements a mechanic, or the loop is the mechanic. Okay, so for my game, you drive a Jeep. It has weapons. That then you use to fight enemies. So we'll just say, we'll just put an X there for enemies because they're bad. But also, free POWs from their house, from their enclosures, we'll say. Both of these come around. Okay. To the helicopter, we'll just put a big circle, an H in it for helipad. You drop off the troops. Okay, so they go away. And then you're left with just a Jeep again, where you then go and fight the boss of the stage. And that's pretty much the layout for the mechanic of each level. This is pretty mundane. It makes a decent arcade shooter, but that's all it is an arcade shooter. What I wanted to do was implement a dual loop system. So we've got this loop. We're gonna move this. Okay, we're gonna put you right here for now. Okay, well, you're not just in the Jeep. I also want to implement a section of the level where you don't have the Jeep, you're a soldier. And in typical Metal Gear style, you use stealth. To kill enemies and secure yourself a transport. Now that transport might come in the form of a Jeep. It probably won't though. It could also come in the form of various other vehicles like an Artie, short for artillery, which is basically a big tracked vehicle with an absolutely gigantic gun on it. It might come as the, I can't remember what they're called. It's like a Toyota Tundra, basically, but it's got an RPG mounted to the back of it. So it's called a mobile rocket platform. It's actually pretty cool. Okay. It needs a window. Or, you know, like I said, it might come as just a Jeep, or it might come as a Humvee or some other type of military vehicle. Not specifically a Humvee. These will be enemy procured, so they're going to be like something of probably Asian descent. Shooting for like a Pacific Islands kind of feel here. Or Pacific theater of like World War II. Which you will then use this vehicle to do this loop. Which isn't really a loop, because now it's sort of this way. Which feels sort of linear, and I don't like it. Right? And that's why I'm fighting with it, right? Because it doesn't reconnect back to itself. Well, it does, but it does at level change, which is clunky at best. Where you begin each level on foot again, where you have to then procure another transportation device, and then use that device to free hostages, or POWs rather, and then get them to the helipad or an evac of some sort or another. It doesn't have to be a helipad, that's just what I use for the first level. It's any sort of evacuation site. And again, I'm not really sure how to do that in a way that feels fun. But that's the idea anyway. I like to do that. I don't know how in a way that doesn't feel like each level is disconnected. The original Jackal. Let's play this bad boy up. Became bad. Alright, we're gonna minimize the music again. In this game, you only have the Jeep. And you free these guys in these special little huts, and it upgrades your grenade to a bazooka. Too many sprites on screen. So flashing. And then it upgrades so that it has smoke coming out of the side of it. And the smoke is deadly. And then the third upgrade is smoke in 4 directions, which is, that's the final upgrade. That's it, that's all there is. Yeah. And that would be another upgrade, but there isn't another upgrade level. Shit. You can only go down a little bit. And when you get blown up, it's back to your grenades. And then here's the boss fight. I did really poorly for that fight. That was fucking terrible. Got an extra life, though. There's a secret there. so this part's sneaky. You want to do that because when you go up, it's the boss fight. Damn. Game. So I grew up playing this game. It's one of my all-time favorites for sure. A lot of the games I grew up playing, I can't play anymore because they're not considered abandonware anymore. But Bomberman is on this list, which is very cool. I didn't know they made a Game Boy version of this. Kind of interested just to see what it's like. It's probably a port, but Wario Blast. This is not. Oh, this is a versus game? Probably. Okay, yeah, it's a versus game. And it's not very fun. I don't like games like this. Not my thing. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, I don't like playing this. This isn't fun. It's interesting, but they released it the very next year. I'll amuse it because I want to say You know, this is better, but it still feels bad. So I didn't realize so many different versions of Bomberman were released. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, no. It just became a whole lot of not fun real quick. Anyway, that was an interesting trip down memory lane. Not that it's my memories, because I never played that game before today. What's over there? What is that? That's file properties. Okay. Well, it's 1:30 in the morning. I covered the stuff I wanted to cover today, right? We did development. Yep. Tech talk. We kind of covered during development with the creation of the uh, stenographic passwords. And recent news we covered with the Singaporean cargo ship, unfortunately slamming into that bridge and causing a lot of damage and death. So with that, I'm going to go to bed. Since my family is up visiting, and I only get to see them once a year, I'd like to get rested up for that. Uh, you all have a wonderful evening, and remember, make cool shit. Even if you think you can't, try anyway. You'd be surprised what you're capable of. I didn't know how to do anything I started doing today. A little bit of Googling, a little bit of figuring it out. You work through the process, you learn. That's how we all better ourselves.